We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live.
Welcome to the Mouthpiece, episode 61, year 2. Today's special guest, my friend and great tournament player, Mr. Ari Engel. We're going to talk about my tournaments in my private home game. We're going to talk about the Wall Street Bets saga. We're going to talk about Daniel's crazy match with Doug. We're going to talk with Ari. And we're going to talk about whatever you want. We're going to take phone calls. The Mouthpiece is next. What up, everybody? How's it going? Well, the Super Bowl is set. Tampa Bay, Kansas City, starting next week. Call in, tell me who you like. Things are crazy in the world as normal. We'll talk about world issues. We'll take phone calls later. But first, we're going to talk about my private home game, in which we have added tournaments. They are unraked $100 buy-in tournaments that we run every Sunday. So if you're interested in playing in my private home game, $100 unraked tournament, email mouthpoker@yahoo.com. That's mouthpoker@yahoo.com. It's a $100 unraked tournament in my private home game. So let's see what's been going on. The big news is this Wall Street Bets short squeeze that's been going on. I'm not in much into the market, but I didn't know what a short squeeze was. But once I found out, I found it pretty extraordinary that the stock market, yesterday was a big day in American history because the stock market, the way we look at it, is now supposedly, from what I hear, going to be changed forever. I mean, you have somebody as powerful as Elon Musk, who tweets Wall Street Bets, the stock flies to the moon. He then tweets out Bitcoin, it flies to the moon. And for one person to be able to have that kind of influence, it just goes to show you, he can literally manipulate markets, which, I guess is good for the little guy, bad for the big guy, but we'll see what happens. With them shutting down that trading yesterday, Dave Portnoy says people should go to jail. I guess it's an interesting subject. So anybody when we do take phone calls later, we'll have you guys address that, what you guys think. It's been an interesting week for me. I decided at the beginning of the playoffs that I was going to bet like 200 to 500 on all the playoff games. And if I really, really like something, I might bet 1,000, but that was just the goal, just to see how I would do. Well, we're going into the Super Bowl, and I am officially 0-9. That's right. I am 0-9 on all football playoff games, and I think I owe 5,100 with juice. That's welcome to my sports betting life. So, of course, when you hear 0-9, you want to know who I'm betting in the Super Bowl. So you can all go all in opposite of me. I don't blame you. We'll talk about that soon. The games last week were kind of interesting. As far as I'm concerned, the coaches had a big influence on who won the game. Let's go to the Green Bay game. With 8 seconds left, Tampa Bay no timeouts. They line up in man-to-man coverage when all they have to do is play a zone and sit back, and the half ends 13-10. And they give them 7 points. And as you know, that was the difference in the game. Because if that doesn't happen, we don't have a talk about what Aaron Rodgers does at the end there. They just kick a field goal, win the game, and the game's over. Green Bay, as much as they got beat around the edges because Green Bay was missing their left tackle, They were still, as far as I'm concerned, the better team. They were outcoached. The decision to kick a field goal with 2 minutes and 8 seconds left, no matter what the analytics say, is completely perplexing to me. I mean, you got the best quarterback in the game. You have a team that's 91% in the red zone. I don't know what the issue is. I mean, if you go for it, you get stopped. You still need a 3 and out. I mean, to get the ball back, what does a field goal do? I mean, it makes zero sense to me. It was completely moronic, and they were outcoached, and that's why Green Bay lost. They were the better team. I mean, I like Matt LaFleur, but he had a really, really bad day. And going over to the Bills game, I mean, I don't even know what Sean McDermott is thinking. 4th and 2 at the 2-yard line, field goal. 4th and 3 at the fucking 4-yard line, field goal. 4th and 2 at the 6-yard line, field goal. What did he do? He think he had the 2000 Baltimore Raven defense or the 85 Bear defense that he could just kick field goals against the best offense in the league? I mean, it's absolute idiocy. And I mean, even in a meaningless situation where they scored with like 3.5 minutes to go, and then he kicks an extra point to be down 17 instead of go for 2 and make it down 16. They got the onside kick, and I mean, who knows? Maybe they score there. It's an 8-point game. They still have 3 timeouts left. Instead, kicking the extra point, he basically waved the red flag. So really, at the end, there really wasn't much to play for. Man, I like Sean McDermott. Also, another young coach who had a bad day. So that's good. Going into the Super Bowl. Next week on the Mouthpiece, I'm gonna give you my Super Bowl pick. I know where I'm leaning, but I don't want you guys to know right now. So, also in the world of poker, we have the Daniel Negreanu-Doug Polk match. Last Friday, Daniel won $400K. We were actually live when he was crushing it. Doug decides on Monday, with 8,000 hands to go, he's going to be a little pussy, start limping the button so the variance isn't high, so he can lock up the challenge, which I thought was really bad etiquette. Now, with 1,500 hands to go, it's fine. If you got control of the match, there's no reason to do that. Even Daniel felt the same way. But with 8,000 hands to go, he just thought he was like he thought he was the king shit. I'm going to limp the button, cut my variance down. Hee, ha, ha, look what I got for Daniel. Ha, ha, ha. And Daniel, and me and Daniel talked on the phone. He told me what he was going to do. I was all on board with it, He's like, oh, really? He wants to act like that. He wants to get it over so he gets paid. Well, we'll just tank every hand and take our time. Put him on fucking tilt, which he did. He was up like 40,000 right away. I almost wish he would have kept doing it. But see, that's the thing is Daniel's a nice guy. Daniel knows it's wrong, but they had a talk, and he, when he decided he wasn't going to limp every button, Daniel played fast, and Daniel lost 130. Daniel, it's not about winning, okay? Daniel just doesn't want like him to take more edges than he already has. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, he took the match. Doug has all the edges, and even after the match, he's still calling out Daniel. He won 130,000. He's up 700,000, and he's still nonstop calling out Daniel.
I got the heebie-jeebies.
Like he did something horribly wrong. You know what I say? Turnabout's fair play. I actually wish Daniel didn't give in. He kept playing slow and played him 150 hands a day and let him fucking understand that, you can't just, it ain't Doug's world. And then, I'm going to lose 13,000 on the match. I don't give a shit. But, I called him out for what he was. I called him Tampon Doug. He needs to fucking limp to stop the bleeding. So, I like Doug. I got me and Doug get along fine. I mean, people might think I don't, but, And I just, he just does things that are just really out of line, a bad etiquette. And then when other people do it, he goes crazy, Just like when he called out Doyle Brunson trying to challenge him, an 87-year-old man who could barely leave his fucking house, to 8-game mix. Well, fuck Doug. You want to play 8-game mix? I'll play as high as you want live, 8-game mix for whatever you want, But don't call out an old guy that can barely fucking walk that's 87 years old and think you're doing something great. You just look like a fucking idiot. That's all. So yeah, the broke guy will play you, buddy. Whatever you want. Okay. So that's what's going on there. Let's see what else is going on in the world. Let's see. I try and stay away from the political spectrum, but I will put in my 2 cents on this. When I told everybody COVID was a hoax, I was attacked. I kept telling you all I didn't think COVID as a disease and virus was a hoax. I said it was a hoax the way the media was reacting. They had the red screen on CNN, death count every day, scaring the whole public. And then they closed down Chicago. They closed down DC. They closed down California. They closed down fucking New York. And what did I tell you all? As soon as they got all the power, they'd open it all up. The second Joe was inaugurated and they had all the power, the red screen came down off CNN. No more death counts. Oh, look at all the hundreds of thousands of people Trump's murdering. Oh, but Biden's now the president. He's not murdering anybody. You see, you got to understand what I meant when I said a hoax. Now, DC, open DC now. Open everything. Open California, outside dining, inside dining. New York, open everything. They got all the fucking power. That just shows you how corrupt they are. That's what I was trying to say when I said it's a fucking hoax. Had nothing. Of course the virus is fucking real. It's fucking really real. But when I said hoax, I kept telling you, it's a hoax what they're doing. They literally destroyed hundreds of thousands of people's lives. Hundreds of thousands of businesses will never recuperate. So all for political power. And if you can't see that, then you are worse than a sheep. You're dumber than than anybody I could even name. So that's the point I wanted to make. So I'm done. I'm pretty much done with politics, but I just wanted to clear my name by telling you what a hoax it was. It wasn't about the fucking how many people. That yes, the virus is real. The whole thing about destroying everyone's business, closing society, keeping it closed till they got all the power, till after the special elections, till Joe was inaugurated, then open up everything or the country's going to die. But when Trump said open up everything or New York, California will never survive, they called him a murderer and a killer. So I just wanted to get that out of my mind. That's the only political statements I'm making today. Okay, so with that in mind, I feel much better. Let's see, what else is going on? Man, so many things going on this week, so many things to talk about. I don't even know where to go, but we're going to take some phone calls later and see what everybody else has to say. So that's pretty much it. Let's see what else is going on. I got to be missing something here in my life. Oh, I went on a diet like 7 days ago. All I'm eating is sushi with no rice, grilled chicken breast, spinach, and protein shakes. And here's the funny thing is, so I went on a diet for 7 days, or 6 days. Yeah. So on the 6th day, that was yesterday, or the day before. It was the day before. So I've been on the diet now for 8 days, because on the 6th day, I was kind of depressed. I don't know. I was just woke up. I wasn't feeling right. I couldn't move out of bed. My mind was racing a million miles an hour. So I was like, oh, my life, I'm so depressed. And then I fucking said, oh, fuck my diet. And then I decided to order a pizza. So I ordered a pizza, ate the pizza. And then after I ate the pizza, my whole body hurt. Everything hurt. I couldn't even fucking move. And I realized that a lot of my pain is caused by what I eat, because pizza causes inflammation. You have cheese, sauce, it's going to cause inflammation. So now I'm even more dedicated to my diet because I realize that, hey, maybe a lot of this pain that I get is because I eat like shit. So for the next 3 months, it's 3 months, man. So I have like that's a lot of weeks left, huh? Danny, how many weeks is that? 11 weeks? 3 months? 11 weeks. 11 weeks. It's sushi, no rice, grilled chicken breast, spinach salad, and a protein shake. I have a good metabolism. I bet you I lose at least 30 pounds in 3 weeks, in 3 months. So we'll see. I have no weight loss bet. Actually, I have one with a guy named Jason Otto. We both have to lose a certain amount by our birthday, and it could be worth up to 100,000. So we haven't decided on the exact terms. So that's it. I am now going to try and bring on our guest. Do we have our guest in the Zoom? Did we send him a Zoom code? We did. He is in. All right.
He's not in yet.
He's not in yet? Okay. My man, Ari Engel. He's a good man, good guy, good poker player. Okay, enter Zoom code. Come on in. He's in. Ari Engel, are you there, my friend? Ari Engel, are you there, my friend?
Hello, Mr. Madison.
Hello, Mr. Ari. How are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, my man. So how's COVID treating you, man? What you been doing?
Man, it is crazy. I mean, I was traveling full time since the beginning of 2013.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was just looking at your Hindenmob thing, and I'm like, man, this motherfucker travels. This guy,
oh yeah,
he can do it. Yeah.
Outside of Vegas in the summer.
Yeah.
I was never in one place for more than 2-3 weeks, basically for like 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a big change. Obviously, it's changed for everybody. But I went from playing a ton of poker to playing a ton of poker. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. You got me.
Oh, okay. So I went from playing a ton of poker to playing a ton of poker, and it's online instead of live, but it's pretty good. It's pretty damn good to be in the position that I'm still able to do what I liked. And I know a lot of people, most people were not able to deal with, obviously I'm young and healthy and then also to be able to play poker all the time. So I feel very fortunate to be in this position. But it's been a ton of fun to play online poker and battle with the people. I've been playing in the legal online sites in the few states where it's legal. We've had a couple of battles in the 08 streets.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's a lot of fun. I'm playing more mixed games, but also a lot of tournaments. And it hasn't been too.
You started out as an online player, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, I did.
And you're one of the very few, and I put this in high standing, that went from the online world to the live world and had success. Now, the reason why I say that is, do you feel so many that are great online players struggle to make the adaptation to the live world?
Well, I had my issues also. There's definitely issues when it comes to patience and things like that. Some of probably your like stronger points, if I would have to guess, are like some of my weaker points or some of the online players' weaker points. I was actually joking around this week with someone. I still have never cashed in the WSOP main event. Yeah. And, I'm a good no-limit hold'em tournament player, but that tournament in particular, probably is geared more to, you know, people that have a nice patient style.
Exactly.
Tend to do well in that. And I do not have a patient style.
It's funny you said that. So, like, I knew how that tournament's played. Like, I tell people all the time, it's the only tournament you ever have to play where you just need to play straight up poker, be patient, wait for pick your spots, of course, but you don't have to like play a lot of hands. And you know, I noticed that when I hadn't cashed in a while, and this was going into 2019, I said, you know what? I know what I'm doing wrong. I'm trying to play this tournament like it's a normal no limit tournament, and I have to remind myself that this is the tournament where you need to relax, stay patient. And I finished I think 199th in 2019, and if it wasn't for a situation that came up, or even when it came up, if I would have hit a 15 outer, I'd have had 100 bigs with a shot to go really deep. So I learned that with the mistakes that I had been doing over the years when I wasn't cashing. And as soon as I told myself, this is what you need to do, Mike, stick with it, I cashed in 2019 and put myself in great position. So when you get back in that main event, all right, just tell yourself this is not a normal tournament. All you have to do is wait for the idiots to give you the money, keep moving hour by hour, day by day, and then you'll watch everybody just implode right in front of your face, because the human body's not meant to go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days of 12-hour days poker, and you know the brain just kind of melts. So, you know, it's something to look forward to.
That's definitely true. I actually I wonder, like, for you, I know you're a little bit more of an emotional player than someone like me potentially, and how do you feel like do you feel like that's been hard for you, going deep in those kind of things where obviously no limit tournament, if you lose your emotions at any time, it can easily.
Yeah. The thing is I'll go back to, so like 2015, I was third in chips with 5 out of the money. I got moved to the direct left of the chip leader, and with about 28 out of the money. Now I went broke with fucking 5 out of the money, but I had just gotten off my surgery and I was in terrible pain. I couldn't move. My foot was killing me. And I told my girlfriend at the time, I said, listen, we're going to either have all the chips or we're going to go broke. And a hand came up where I flopped top pair and a flush draw. And of course I was up against the 3-4 offsuit who flopped a 3 and called like a 5x bet on the flop and turned a 4. And then he check raised me and I moved all in. Now, if I wasn't in pain, I would have called the 200K and then folded the river, because I knew he turned 2 pair. I didn't know what 2 pair, but I was in so much pain. I was like, let's gamble for it all. Fuck it, you know. Yeah. And then then I didn't I was close to cashing in 16, 17, and 18. In 18, I thought that I tried to get a little bit too fast, and then I told myself to just be patient, and I wasn't. And then I said, and I knew what I had done wrong. Plus, I had gotten a fight with my girlfriend in 18, and I was really emotionally messed up about that. And so, going into day 3, I already have enough things going against me with health-wise and where I can't be, I try to explain to her, poker is 90% mental. And if you are not mentally, focused, you're not going to be right. And I wasn't right, and I made mistakes. And in 2019, I thought I played just fantastic. One of the best main events I ever played. It was just kind of unfortunate the way I went broke, but that's poker and all. But
yeah, I have a strategy where I just get it in bad a lot and tend to get there. But in the main event, that's a little harder to do. Yeah. But no, for real though, it's something that people don't take into account is if you're having a fight with your partner or it doesn't even need to be a partner. If you're just like not emotionally like prepared for the battle, for the game, for the long term at that time, it's like you might as well not even enter. You really shouldn't play that tournament that day, because it's you need everything to go right to do well in tournaments to begin with. And if you're just not emotionally there, and so hard to
every
so hard.
tournament I ever won, or every time I've gone on good winning streaks in cash, my relationship has always been in a good place. My mind has been in a good place. You have to be in a good place. If any of those are off and you start drifting, like let's say you lose a pot, right? And you stop being focused on the game and you start thinking about other distractions. I know, and you know what I'm saying to be true, is it's going to affect you. And, like she used to always say, you've been playing for 20 years. How could you make all these mistakes? Blah, blah, blah. How'd you make? And I'm just like, well, you watch the best football players throw 3 interceptions in a row. You watch the best baseball players strike out 10 in a row. What do you mean? How can I? That's why I used to tell her that I need to be focused. I need no outside distractions. I need to be in a good place. And if not, I'm not able to complete at a high level. So,
there's a weird thing which I've noticed which is not like, I think a lot of people would understand if you have these like negative emotions floating through you, how that could be harmful. But I've actually had it the reverse, where I'm too overconfident and too on top of the world kind of thing. After I won Aussie Millions, which was in 2016, I went to Ireland, EPT Ireland, and I just played every tournament there from, 500 euros to the 10K high roller. And I did not get one cash that entire trip. I think between that and a couple of tournaments afterwards, I think I went something like 0-25 or 0-30 after my huge win.
Right.
And, it's this weird thing where you're, sometimes you're just over, like you need to just like for tournaments need to have as much as possible this like even keel flat thing.
Oh, absolutely.
If someone 3-bets you too much, who cares?
Yeah.
If your opens aren't getting through, if good things are happening to you, this is a lot of times like people win a bunch of chips and they start getting all talkative and they're so happy. And this happens to me also. I'm not.
Happens all of us.
Yeah,
You just hit it right on the nose. I mean, overconfidence I can't tell you what it used to do to me. Now I go in there thinking to myself, you know what you have to do to play good, and your talent will be there. I mean, there was a time where I questioned my talent, no limit. And, Phil kept saying, no, Mike, you're just as good, if not better than all these guys. And this was like 3 years ago. And then I finished when David Baker won the LAPC, and I finished like 25th. But I was in a position where I had a shot to win that, and I played great. And I'm telling you right now, there was 2 players I played with the entire tournament who I felt were better than me. And before that, I'm thinking, oh, everybody's a whiz kid and no limit. They're all so good, but they're just not. You can't. And so that's where then my confidence got higher. COVID came around, in which I started playing a lot of no limit. I really got into the zone, a 3-month period in the zone where I didn't know I could play at that level again. And I was just seeing everything. We went into the July WSOP online where I cashed 12 out of 24th, including finished 10th twice. And that was, and I knew, and it's like, I knew I was back. I really believed. Yeah, did I make a few mistakes that maybe could have been different? Yeah, of course. But,
either admit it or you don't, because everyone's making mistakes. The people that not to make mistakes are just lying to themselves.
Of course.
I believe.
And the thing is, and you'll agree with me on this, is to be one of the best players in the world, you have to know when you make a mistake. You can't just say, well, I got it in here, I was unlucky, or but I played great. No. Yeah, you played pretty good, but if you didn't make that mistake, and that mistake, you'd have another 23 or 25 big blinds, and then maybe you wouldn't have been in a spot where you have to shove late in the match. And this is what I tell people all the time. You know, it's real important to understand what compounds. Like, what happens if you make this call that cripples your stack, and then all of a sudden, well, you're down to 15, 20 big blinds, and you put it in because it's a standard spot, and you lose. Well, what if you didn't make the mistake earlier? You'd have had 40 big blinds. You wouldn't have been in that spot to have to move in. So you have to see the compounding of the mistakes when you make them.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you from the perspective of being one of the best players in the world, but I can say it from being one of the best minor league players in the world, which is more what I am. But it's definitely true that that being self-honest is such an important thing, and that can be, and also you're allowed to, like, if you're doing something well, you're allowed to recognize that you're doing that well.
Yeah.
But also, it's not only the mistakes that you need to focus on. You can focus on the good things that you're doing, but just, you know, having that self-honesty and you know, knowing what kind of games you like, you know, the famous game selection is such a big thing.
It's everything.
For, you know, the vast majority of players would do much better if they game selected better. And
it took me a lot of years to learn that, Ari. I mean, a lot of years. You know, I believe
you. Yeah, that was something that I've been good at for most of my career. And when you talk about, you know, someone like, obviously you've been around much longer than I have, but just from like the online generation that I was from, that came around, you know, after Moneymaker, most of those players are no longer around anymore. And we all thought, you know, we were all laughing at you live guys and saying, hey, we're so much better than you. But most of those people were not better. And they, you know, it seemed like maybe they made a few good things, but then they had a few other, you know, negative things. And the people that have survived, you know, really, even if it's not always apparent right away, like what it is that they're doing well, there usually is quite a bit of things.
Yeah, you know, you're preaching to the choir. I tell people that all the time, you know, like, how many people can you name that play poker for a living with no other source of income? And then you have to ask yourself, who are those players? And when people are saying bad things about them, you can always say, well, they haven't worked in I ain't worked in 24 years. I don't have any money in the markets. All I do is play poker. I mean, I was dead broke after the Full Tilt fiasco. After my surgery, I had to borrow, like, I don't even know, $400,000 or $500,000. Now I'm pretty much debt free, and I got money. And what do you think? It just fell off the. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I don't have money. I can't let anybody. I need everybody to keep thinking I'm broke. I'm sorry. I learned that from JRB at Broke Living JRB. Tell everyone you're broke all the time. You can tell anybody you want anything you want on the internet. They believe it. So it's kind of fun. Like, even when I bet on the Daniel match, right, and Doug, I'm like, yeah, I just bet half my bankroll, $10,000 on Daniel. I'm like, I got another $5,000 on Trump. I'm gonna lose. I got bills coming up for $6,500 at the end of the month. That puts me in negative $2,000. And the dumbass Card Player magazine wrote a big article. Mike Matusow bets half his bankroll on D-Negs. I'm like, and I didn't even know they wrote this article, but when somebody told me about it and I read it, I mean, it was just great. I mean, you even control you. I mean, you would think, like, before they write an article,
fake news.
Yeah, you'd think they would. You would think they would, before they write an article, they would say, "Do you really got half your bankroll on?" And even Doug, when he started the match with Daniel, he's like, "Yeah, I heard Mike has half his bankroll on me," and Daniel goes, "No, he was kind of trolling. He really doesn't, you know." But I just think it's funny, you know. I think it's. I kind of like. I'm learning how to troll. I think the trolling stuff's kind of fun. Like, Matt Glantz is just a #1 troller. I mean, he's the best troller in the world.
I think the world can use a little less trolling, to be honest. But it is. I
understand. You know, but in the poker world, it's just people. You have so many people that are just, okay. So let's just say you go on social media, right? Okay, so I know you're going to agree with me on this. Social media is just like a place where it's just, if you want to be depressed, get on social media. start listening what everybody says about you. They're just unhappy people.
I don't want to deal with any bullshit on social media.
Where do you find these things at, Daniel?
Wow,
Danny?
Yeah, that's
a good one.
You got a pro there behind the scenes.
Yeah, Danny's the man. Danny's the man.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
If I look back throughout the year, so when I started, as we discussed, I was heavily involved in the online poker scenes, and I was very active on poker forums in those days.
Right.
And starting from those days all the way up until recent times in the more modern social media, I have learned a ton, and I feel like it's been so beneficial to my game. Listening to the haters, it's kind of weird, but the quote unquote haters, the people that talk shit about my game, where I was able to take a lot of, I take some, a few ideas that they were saying, which once I reflected on it and didn't take it personally, but actually tried to listen to where they're coming from, some of it was actually true about me. And I've corrected quite a few leaks that I've had in my game. Now, I'm far from a perfect player, not even close, and I have tons more and a lot of room to improve and try and get better and all that. But I probably I don't even want to think where I would be if I hadn't had all those people talking shit to me. Now it's kind of like taking the few good things from the bad, because you're right. There is so much hate and so much negativity out there, and you're probably right that a lot of us would be better off spending less time on social media and not listening to it. And society.
I mean, what's so funny is even when you put out something, right, that should be uniting with everybody on a certain tweet, they'll still find something negative to say about it. It's like these people just I'm just wondering, are they 15, 16-year-old people that just have no other life? I don't even know, but.
Well, it's how you say nice things, you don't get publicity. People want publicity. It was the thing with ESPN. The way to get coverage in the main event was to start jumping around and screaming, and I don't need to call out the different people throughout the years but we know
it's a good point. When me and
like a dog, and you have the guy shouting and screaming every time they win a pot and all that stuff, and it is somewhat entertaining a little bit, but it's not really.
What was that guy from 3 years ago that drove me nuts? I went to dinner with him once. The guy that got busted for stealing $25 chip or something.
Yeah, the English player
guy. William Gassouf. William Kassouf, right? I mean, I went to dinner with him when he was in town. He was a nice guy, and it just goes, it's like, I understand, he took it to a whole level, the same bullshit over and over, and it was phony. Yeah. At least with Phil Hellmuth, and Phil is the exact same in person than he is in a poker game. People think that that's all an act. No, that's just Phil. That's the way he is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but Phil, at times can be over the top and whatever. But I remember I played maybe 2 years ago in a prelim event with Phil, and he was there for half an hour, and it felt like it was a TV highlight show. I couldn't believe it. In that half an hour, we got everything. It was the most entertainment I had all summer.
But the funny thing is all the things he was saying and shit, he doesn't just I just got a thing that said Daniel's down 134K today. Okay. That thing's over anyways. I was just, we could talk about that too. But we'll get to that in a second. So so Phil, because I used to be a lot like Phil, and I used to just talk a lot of shit. But then once people got good, it wasn't like in the old days you could just talk all the shit and nobody was getting any better, so you could make fun of them and say whatever. But then when people got good, you don't want to wisen them up. So the only people I made fun of were people I've known for 20 years, Phil, Daniel, all the old timers, or any, people, or even the new school people that you could talk shit to. But other than that, I don't want to talk shit to strangers. And Phil's like, no, Mike, you need to start talking more shit like you used to be. I'm like, no, dude, that's not my style anymore. It's just, I lose, I walk away and say, nice game, nice hand,
You can be entertaining without, the one of the more infamous time. And I generally am a fan of Phil in, a few incidences, but the one time where, the guy who is an amateur, 4-bet shoves 10-4 into Phil,
I remember that.
So, and he's legitimately tilted at Phil, and Phil's going off at it. Like, that kind of stuff is, completely unnecessary, and
Absolutely.
It's not good.
Are you crazy, Phil?
And I don't think he does that kind of stuff too much anymore. Maybe I'm not sure.
Not so much. His main thing he likes to do is, like, if somebody 3-bets him like twice in a row, and of course they'll always have the hand, but Phil doesn't even go. He'll be like, "Really? You want to fuck with me? You keep 3-betting me, I'm going to trap you. I'm going to trap you. I'm going to trap you." But you know what the funny thing is like every time he says that, like and he gets under their skin, "I'm going to trap you," he literally does trap them. I mean, I'll never forget. He trapped the guy. He told the guy, "I'm going to trap you." The guy kept raising him. It was living small blind, big blind. And Phil goes, "Trust me, I'm going to limp. You're going to move all in. I'm going to call, and you're going to be dead." And then so Phil limped with 2 queens. Guy moved all in with ace jack. Phil called him. And of course the guy hits a fucking ace or whatever. Phil went berserk. But it was like, "I told you I was going to trap," before the cards were turned up. "I told you I was going to bust you. I told you I was going to trap you. You're such a fucking idiot." And so and then of course the ace comes.
Good at no limit hold'em.
And it's pretty funny, but he's listen, Phil's quite the character. We're really close, and he's quite the character.
He definitely is, and in general, I've had actually amazing interactions with him. Not that I'm definitely not like close with him, but the few interactions that I've had with him have been really positive, and he's been very nice to me, and I've liked him on a personal level. But it's a lot easier for someone like me who doesn't, I'm not controversial. I don't really go out there and talk bad about and all that, but it's a lot easier for me to just stay and not do anything that gets people upset. That if you're going to be, a big personality and say things that are entertaining, occasionally it will cross the line. And I think it's reasonable. You got to have a reasonable way of judging someone where they're allowed to occasionally cross the line if they're going to say so much entertaining stuff.
I'm going to ask you one more thing about poker. Then we're going to get to some phone calls and people will call in and ask you some questions. So you were a world-class no-limit player, and now you start playing mixed games. How do you like the adjustment, and how do you feel your game is becoming in the mixed game? Do you feel like you're competing on a high level? Do you feel you still have a lot to learn? What's your favorite mixed game, and what do you like to play most now?
World class. Thank you. Appreciate the compliment. I don't know if I can take that without slightly acknowledging that it's probably not true. But
come on, man. You've done so good in no limit tournaments. You're always there. Don't say that. You're top.
Thank you.
I mean,
I can't.
Let's put it this way. You're 1,000% top 100 in the fucking world, and that's there's like a zillion players now.
Yeah, no,
you're probably higher than that. I mean,
I appreciate that. I don't rate myself that high, but I appreciate it nonetheless. So I from the beginning, the guy that told me how to play poker, his name's Andrew Brown. Brown Dog. He plays a ton of different games.
Andrew, you guys do have a style a little bit alike. Now that you brought that up,
we got the hair going. So
he's a good friend of mine, by the way.
I remember in 2006, I would play horse tournaments on Full Tilt. And so I've always somewhat messed around, and 08 was always the game that I played most of, especially PL 08.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, I've just increased the amount of time I played PL 08. Like this past summer.
How rich do you think me and you would be if they had PL 08 tournaments like they do no limit hold'em tournaments every day for 1,000 at the World Series?
I think that would be a lot of fun for sure. And there are more and more of them, so I'm definitely excited for that. And
in the last, this is not a joke. In the last 8 years, they would have 2 a year. So I think I've cashed 14 of the 16 tournaments, including. Well, 2 years ago, I should have won it. I made a fucking mistake. I had I had what the fuck was that I got on my leg? What was that infection I got called? Anyways, my whole leg I had this big infection, staph infection from the WSOP. I picked up a staph infection. My whole leg was swollen the size of a beach ball. It was 2 a.m. I told my girl, I'm like, man, I got to win this thing because I'm in terrible pain. And then there was a spot that came up where forehanded and he raised, and I flopped the second up flush in a wrap straight. The flop came King 10. I had 9 Jack Queen King with a King high flush draw, and I was going to check raise him on the flop big. I had pair and a wrap and a flush draw, and he looked at his cards and checked back. And when he looked at his cards and checked back, I said to myself, this guy's got the nut flush draw, because he knew how good I was. So he knew if he bet that I would get away from it. You know what I'm saying? But I saw it, but I was in so much pain, I kind of doubted myself. So now the turn card, the straight and the flush, everything gets there. I have second nuts. I check. He bets like pot, and I'm like, well, when he looked back, does he have the dry ace here? Would he have bet the flop? I'm like, nah, this guy, he knows how good I am. He was the best player beside me at the table, by the way. And I'm like, he has it. And I'm like,
who was it? Do you remember?
Whoever won that tournament in 2018 at the PLO 8, the last one.
Yeah.
So so I called, and then the river came up blank, and he bet 300K, and I'm like, man, what if you're wrong, Mike? What if you didn't see what you saw? You're in so much pain. I'm like, maybe you didn't, maybe you're, and I overthought it instead of following what I saw. And he showed me the nut flush. That crippled me. I end up getting fourth. I mean, I really don't even have to play that hand. I'm going to finish second probably. And listen, I was in so much pain, so I was willing to make a 4-way deal. And he said no, and I don't blame him, because he had me, he had Eli Alezra, Bruno Fatoussi, and who really had no shot, and then me, who, was in obvious pain. And, you don't want to tell people when you're in pain, and you try and, but it was pretty obvious, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And,
Joey Cooten.
Yeah, he's a really good player. He's a really good PLO 8 player. And, so I don't blame him for not wanting to make a deal. And as it ends up, I end up letting the pain fuck me. And he goes and wins the tournament. He made the right thing, not making a deal. But, that goes back to what we were talking about, being focused, not being distracted. But even then, I saw what I saw, and the only thing is I went against what I saw because I was in pain, and I'm like, well, maybe you're wrong. I'm in so much pain, and if you're wrong, you could call here.
So about the mixed games, I am absolutely loving it. I'm playing way more mixed games than I ever have before, and I was always somewhat into it. The last couple of years before COVID, I had gone to LAPC, and that I feel like for tournament players looking to get into mixed games,
absolutely.
Savage runs an amazing schedule there where it's filled with like 600 to 1K buy-ins or even 300 to 1K. All the different games you can practice playing the tournament dynamics where it's not huge money, but it's still people treating it seriously.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. You won the $1,000 horse. You won second in the 1100. Then you had third in the horse, 530. Second in the 10-game mix. Look at you. 7 card start 8. You won it. Did you win best all around here?
I got I didn't actually finish number 1, but I had a really good finish.
Damn, look at this. Look at these fucking back. Look at this. From February 4th to February 18th, you went first, third, second, first. That's 4 in 14 days in the top 3. That's pretty good.
It was, yeah. So those tournaments are great, and really good stepping ground. And I was looking forward to playing the 2020 World Series and playing some of the 1500 different games. Like I've been playing the 08s for a few years. I threw in a couple of PLOs. But obviously that couldn't happen. But I am definitely looking forward to playing tons of basically like every 1,500 mixed game, I feel comfortable enough to play. And we'll see about the 10Ks.
Do you play on your own, or do you have people to stake you sometimes?
I mainly play on my own. Yeah. I've played like a few high rollers over the last few years, like the 25Ks and higher. And for those, I sell action. And I guess at like different stages in my career, I've sold at different stakes. Actually, I've had 3 people. 2 of them were makeup deals, and 1 was just like someone who bought pieces regularly. And all 3 people have dropped me throughout my career. So for those out there that are being backed or have gotten backed and gotten dropped, that happens. Hey,
I put $1.2 million in a guy's pocket. He told me, I have $1 million behind you. I will never quit staking you. Then he wanted to stake another person. I'm not naming that name. I begged him not to. He said, okay, I won't. I got to make sure I have money for you. I found out then in March of a certain year, he dropped me right before the World Series and left me hanging. I had nothing. I couldn't even believe he would do that. I found out 6 months later, him and his partner lost $2.4 million staking the person I told him not to do. And that kind of was a blow to me. So I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. The first guy that dropped me said he said, you're the only one that's made money for us, but we have tons of other horses that are in makeup. And so we are running low on funds, so we're going to stop backing you.
I mean, instead of just taking your loss with the people in makeup and stick with somebody that's winning.
Yeah.
I mean, these people are fucking
kind
idiots.
of understand. And then I had one guy who was not really into poker, and I'm like, look, you don't really understand the variance. Just so you know, there can definitely be things. And I was 30K in makeup, which for those in the poker world, they know that's not a very large number. And he said, okay, I see what you're saying. 30K is my limit. Yeah. And so, but nowadays, I'm lucky enough where like I kind of had this like slow grind kind of thing where I didn't take big risks, and I've just like slowly moved up the stakes, and I'm just fairly comfortable in the stakes that I play. And also I kind of know where I'm supposed to be in the totem pole. So I don't think I belong at higher stakes. So it's not even a bankroll issue. Like skill-wise, I don't think...
I'm going to disagree with that because I play a lot with you. I just think that the adjustments you need to make to play at the higher stakes is what we talked about at the beginning of the show. Your patience, okay? When you play at the smaller level, smaller stakes, I know you like to play a lot faster than most people. And when you play against the John Hennigans of the world, the Ray D's of the world, the people that play, the Mike Gordos of the world, I mean, these are great players, and you just have to know that they know what you're doing. So you got to kind of take a step back, get a little bit more, patience,
I'm so looking forward to battling those kind of players. If I do feel comfortable enough to play the 10K level mixed games, or maybe in some wishful world, the 50K one day. Yeah. I'm really excited to battle against those really good mixed game players, and also maybe in cash games, because I've like during quarantine I feel like I've elevated my mixed game quite a bit. And so,
when I was playing mixed game every day 3 years ago, 2017, right? Then I got staked in all the tournaments, and I made 3 10K final tables. When you play every day, you get in a groove. I don't know how to explain it, but I know you know what I'm talking about. And the thing is I've done well. Okay, so last year 2019, I did really well without playing at all. Basically I didn't play the whole year, took a whole year off and did well. But I did well because my patience was great. Was I as sharp as 2017? Not even close. Okay. But, I gave myself a shot, and like even the stud 8 right before the main event where I got 4th, I mean, I played a pot where I was 97.5 to win it. 3.3 million chip pot with 9 million chips in play. I win that, I'm going to at least end up head up, and who knows, maybe win my second stud 8 championship. So who knows, but my game's still solid, but I do agree with you. The more you play, the better you're going to be. And, during COVID, there's been some good private no limit games that I've had invites to. So I've been playing mostly no limit.
Look at you. How about that? No limit.
Yeah. So I'm telling you right now, like my no limit game is really, really
Mike,
sharp.
We have on WSOP.com on Saturday nights and Tuesday nights. It's $200 PLO8 tournaments.
I see it.
Occasionally jumped in.
Yeah, I jumped in at once.
Where are you?
You gotta text me and remind me because I want to play them.
I know.
And
great.
Yeah,
it was so much fun playing you. And by the way, I know like most of the good players know that you're a phenomenal 08 player.
Yeah.
But maybe some of the young generation, they're not as familiar. We played just a little, not much, heads up, but just fun. Even that in a little bit of time. And like, I got an impression from you playing like ring game, no limit, that you're kind of a tight player and that I'd be able to run you over. And I gotta say, I'm not like being nice to you. You were a very tough, very good player. And obviously you know that, but yeah, that was fun to play. And I hope that it would be way more fun playing the end of a tournament.
Yeah, for sure, man. And
so
PLO8 is PLO8's fun. 08's limit 08's fun. I mean, I just like the challenge. Yeah. I know you've gotten really good at 08. So, and I've heard people say it to me. So when I saw you there, I'm like, Phil Ivey, who do I know? I know that's somebody I know, right? And I know he's really good. Yeah. So I Google, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Ari. Yes. All right. I'm going to play Ari. I'm like, I need the challenge. I feel like playing for an hour. This will be fun. So, listen, we talk about game selection, but sometimes you just want the challenge, and it's fun. I love the challenge,
If you're playing within your bankroll, just for like everyone out there, and you're playing within your bankroll, you're allowed to take a shot at either slightly higher stakes that test your mental whatever, or against slightly better players. Like the way you get better is playing better players.
Yeah.
But it's just like the way I look at it is I look at my entire schedule over a year, and I've always done this. When I was grinding circuit events, I always made sure to go to at least one EPT event a year. EPTs are way tougher than circuits, but I wanted to kind of test myself against the better players and make sure I wasn't falling too far behind and just kind of have the challenge. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so like I like to mix in a few percent of harder tournaments. Like over the last 5 years, I probably averaged playing like 2 high roller events a year or something like that. And you get in a couple of that. I get in plenty of $300 binds also on the other end. And then plenty of 1Ks and 1500s, which are kind of like the middle of my comfort zone kind of situation.
I tell people this all the time, and so I'll say this to you. Anybody that grinds the tournament circuit for a living has my vote. I mean, you got to be a real sick fuck to do that because it's so hard, and grinding and like, it's just like, and I respect that. All the people who play tournament poker for a living, I have utmost respect for. I don't play many tournaments, but I like them when I play them, but I just can't.
I feel like
they're tough. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I feel I cheated the system a little bit because during like the 04 to like 08 time where I just played online all the time, some really soft games and built a bankroll with no expenses and stuff like that. It allowed me to kind of enter into the live tournament world where I didn't have to win to pay my bills. And I could stomach, like I've gone on a 6-figure downswing playing circuit events, over a 6-month period, playing like low buy-in, supposedly super soft events, and that can happen. But, if you have a little bit of a cushion and you have the experience where even with all that experience, it did get me down mentally, but at least I was able to say, hey, like, I beat online for all those years. I'm like, I feel like I shouldn't, like, how am I losing to these players? But I understood variance to a greater extent than I otherwise would.
And
but
you
yeah,
know,
but
you
this
say
game
that,
is
and go ahead. I'm sorry. We're talking about understanding
it's
variance. I mean, I understood it in 2004, and even when I had millions, I always had somebody staking me in tournaments because I know when you're playing these big tournaments, I mean, you can go on $1 million downswing. I mean, you just can.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just, you know, I just said, you know what? I got plenty of money. I don't need to risk. I'd rather give up 50% and then plus, for some reason with me, when I'm playing for somebody, I try harder. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but if it's my money and I'm having a bad day, I could just say, I don't feel like playing, and I'll just dust it off. But when I'm playing for somebody else, like, I'm giving like 150% every time. And so that's another reason why that I've done that, you know, just over the years. You know?
Yeah. No, I've had a similar thing where it's like playing for myself, I can just like kind of say F it and just go for it. And I mean, for better or worse sometimes, you know, but sometimes it's a little bit harder to like be like completely spewed out. And for like a player like me, I'm just like overly aggressive. And if I calm down a little bit, it's probably like for the better. So if I'm doing crazy stuff in my own mind, probably
you know,
too much.
Even when I play with you, I've even said to myself, I like the way Ari plays. He needs to. I think he'd be really good if he just slowed down a little bit, you know. And I think I really do. I think like, I mean, I like you a lot. We've always been gotten along. I think you're a really class guy. So you know, when I say that, I say, you know, this is, I don't want to, you know, give advice, but if I had to give you advice, my advice would be is keep playing the way you're playing, but take times where you just all of a sudden go into a shell and just play really tight for a while and then really small. Because I just feel that let's just put it this way, you know, when I know you probably don't remember, but pre-2006, I was considered the most aggressive poker player in the world. I literally played 90% of the hands. If they raised, I re-raised. I was just a literal monster, right? And then then in 2006, card runners taught bet sizing. I'm just like, these motherfuckers. I'm like, they could have taught anything they wanted to do about no limit hold'em except teach bet sizing, because the way people threw in their bets, you knew whether they had ace king, aces, and when they were weak. They were, so all of a sudden when they start bet sizing perfectly, my ability to know what they had kind of became a lot harder. And I'm just like, so I always say, like, the thing that ruined poker was card runner teaching bet sizing. If everybody just would have never just brought up the word bet sizing and would have taught all the other bullshit about poker, you know, I would have just kept dominating. So then when I realized that, so 2007, 2008, I'm like, they know what I'm doing now. So I went into a shell, became super nitty, like beyond nitty, and I made 4 WPT final tables, right? Because they all thought that I'm crazy Mike and I'm always bluffing. And so I just showed them the nuts and it was amazing. But then 2009 came around, the word came out that Mike's playing real nitty. And all of a sudden, as soon as I entered a pot, nobody would give me action. And again, that also, the 2009 playing nitty in 2008 playing it, wasn't just adjusting, but it was also after I got robbed on Ultimate Bet for millions, where they saw my card. They took away my ability to pull the trigger. So I was scared to make the bluff. And it wasn't until, I mean, honestly, where I really got back to really being the old Mike, and I shouldn't even say this. No, everybody, I'm still tight, Mike. Never mind. It was probably like 3 years ago, you know? And then when I really got good was during COVID, because, you know, all of a sudden, you know, I didn't play No Limit Hold'em much. I played twice a year for the last 5-6 years. And now I'm playing it every day. And I'm like, well, you know, I don't remember the times where I was fucking ripping it on them on the river and they were calling me with third pair. Right. And so now in my mind, I'm like, okay, I know this guy's weak, rip, and they're folding, rip. So I found myself where I bluffed 34 out of 35 hands, and I was dominating this game. I was crushing it. And I told Phil, so what does Phil go? He tells fucking assfuck scumbag Scott Ball. Oh, Mike's robbing you. That's why he's winning all the money. And next thing you know, he's fucking floating me with nothing. A check raising me on the fucking turn. I mean, I don't even know why Phil did that. I mean, because Phil just hated I was winning.
I used to just post on the forums and my blog. I would just post my strategy, exactly what I thought. Hey, like this is what I'm thinking in these spots. It was crazy the way the way we used to do things.
Yeah. So anyways, all right, we're gonna take some phone calls. So hang on a second. Let's go, buddy.
Yeah, let's do it.
The Mouthpiece.
If you'd like to take part in our phone call segment, you can give us a call at 702-329-0480. And if you're a snowflake or a pussy and you don't want to talk to me, you can email me at mouthpiecepodcast@gmail.com. Also, follow me at the Mouth Matiso on Twitter for times that our call-in segment will be live. Okay, everyone, 702-329-0480. 702-329-0480. It's Friday night. You're live, me and Ari Engel. Give us a call. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. We don't give a fuck. Everything's on the table at the Mouthpiece. Where is my phone calls? Where is my phone calls? Where is my phone calls? How's Daniel
This
doing?
is like me playing.
Is he losing still a lot today? He's toast. He needed to. Oh, here we go. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. It's Mike and Ari. How's it going? Yo.
Good.
Turn your volume down.
I had a question for Ari.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ari, what kind of advice would you give, an up and coming or aspiring live tournament circuit player? I know you guys already touched on just how difficult it is, taking 100% of yourself with all the expenses and the variance and all that. Just if you had to give some advice to an aspiring player that would want to do something like what you did in your career, or try to replicate that success, what would be the couple top points for that person?
So a couple of points that I would focus on. One would be to try and have some sort of other income. So if you have a job currently, I would say don't quit your job. You can still play. Most lower mid-tier buy-ins happen on the weekend. You can still play it and keep your job. And the reason why I say that is it's so much easier to play well when you don't need the money to pay your rent. And you really want to focus on your strategy and on playing a good, smart, aggressive, fearless strategy. And it's going to be much harder to do that if you need the cash to pay for your ride home, So keeping costs down while you're on the road is going to be big, and studying the game. Everyone's getting so much better, but yet there's still so much room to do well, and especially if you play in the tournaments that occur within 100 or 200 mile radius from your house. It's not going to be filled with pros, almost no matter what the buy-in level is. And if you can, in between those tournament stops, if you go once a month to a $500 tournament or something like that, in between that, you watch. There's so much free content on YouTube and stuff like that, and Twitch and all this stuff. And then if you want to pay, there's even more stuff available. So working on your strategies. Keeping your day job, and then also playing some online stuff. You don't even need to play big online. You can play so small online, get a ton of experience that way. You want to be the person that when you make it to a nice final table live, that you've had 10 final tables in the last year to look back on. And it doesn't even make a difference if those final tables were in a $2 buy-in or a $20 buy-in or whatever. The fact is that you're at a final table, everyone's trying to win, and you get those dynamics that occur only at final tables. And I can't tell you the amount of times where I've been at a final table and the person that I'm playing heads up against, this is their first time in their life ever playing heads up. You know, obviously I'm going to have a really nice edge against that kind of player. Now, if they had 5 times gotten heads up in a $5 tournament, they would be a way better player, even if it was a $5 tournament.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, and I really appreciate that advice and thorough explanation, Ari. I've looked up to you for a lot of years, just as a solid tournament grinder. There's not many of people like you, so I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No, there
very much.
isn't. He is the man. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the kind words too. I hope we can battle someday in a heads up tournament somewhere on the road there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, my man. Thank you. Thanks for the call. So
Take care.
He says the same thing I kind of says, man. I mean, I got lots of respect for online grinders. I mean, in tournaments, I don't know if you've been in the World Series where I scream out loud, top of my lungs, "Oh, you motherfuckers who do this for a living! God bless you!" Like I'll just in the middle of the World Series, I'll just jump up and say something like that because I just think it's like so insane, because like just playing live for a living is so grinding. These tournaments where you make one mistake, you're out. It's like like you said, you got to be mentally tough, man. You just do.
Yeah.
We got another call.
It works both ways.
We missed one. Let's call him back. Slow night tonight. Normally Friday night is a lot more people on. I wonder why. Oh well.
Yeah. Hello.
Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Ari. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, Mikey? It's me, Drew from the Woodlands.
Drew, yeah, I remember you from last week. What's going on, my man, Drew?
Yeah. I'm watching the challenge. Unfortunately, Daniel is gonna kind of. I mean, it's not the most he's lost in a big, cash tournament. He lost 2.2 million on high stakes poker. I think you ended up a winner on that.
Yeah, I was the second biggest winner on high stakes poker. It's because I got most of it from Daniel. No, listen, the thing is Daniel knew going into today he is going to have to really increase the size of the pots and play variance. He told me what he had to do today. And so am I shocked he's down 150, 200? No. I mean, I told he like Daniel doesn't care. I don't want to say it, but Daniel's got a lot of money. And if he loses another million and a half, he don't give a fuck. But he's going to try and give himself a shot to win. And, that's why he got so upset when with 8,000 hands left of Doug deciding he's going to limp, because it's just, he wants to talk about the spirit of the game. Well, that takes away the spirit of the game, So when Daniel decided...
This is what I'll get about Doug Polk's little cabal of friends, right? They're so like yes man. Like you guys are friends, like you, Helmuth, all the guys, the OG guys we saw coming up. Yeah. But you guys needle each other. You don't get like gang on upon people. You got your own freaking opinion. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And I like that you challenged this little Joey Ingram, this little douchebag. Of douchebags. I don't like him.
I actually like Joey's okay with me.
I don't get the whole gimmick. He's like he's on Adderall all the fucking time. And
when we did some podcasts, we were like, when we were doing the postal shit, we had Joey Ingram's fanboys calling up and starting shit with us. It was funny. He's not a bad guy though. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. You get to know him. He's not a bad guy.
To like Omaha, and he ain't gonna do it, right? Yeah. But you think he's going to
the challenge I put out? Do I think he'll accept my challenge? No, he won't accept my challenge because he wants to go out and challenge a 87-year-old man. He's like, there's no way he's going to play me fucking 8-game fucking live. No fucking chance. And if he does, he can fucking watch all the Sims he wants.
I'm talking about Joey Ingram.
Oh no, that was calling out Doug.
No, Joey Ingram, you challenged.
Oh no, what I did. So he put up. He goes, "This LO is fun," and he goes, "I hope I get hands like this." And he puts up ace, jack, 9, and none of the aces are suited. And I said, if you play that hand, you're not going. That's not a good hand in 6-card PLO. It's just not. You know what I mean? If you don't have an ace suited with what do you have? You have 6 cards to flop a set. You know, you want wrap cards. You want ace suited with wrap cards. You know, so I just put out. He says, "Oh, this looks like a fun game."
I wouldn't know. That sounds good to me.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, he put it out, and he says, if you want, he goes, anybody wants to play this, I go, ace, ace, jack, jack, 9, 9, with no suit. Okay, I'll play. You know, I
but Ari, I got a question for Ari here. How much of the GTO and randomizing do you do? Like, have you put into the game on yourself?
It's a good question. Go ahead.
I would say, it's hard to like answer that particularly. Like I have very high standards for myself. So I would say compared to the standards that I would set for myself, very little. I would like to study them more and have a better understanding of them. I've done some work in that regard, but definitely not enough. And I don't consider myself like that. That's one of the many reasons why when, Mike, who was being very nice and using words like world class, I don't consider myself in that bracket at all because I don't have a great understanding of those concepts.
Bryn Kenny, I consider one of the top 3 players in the world. He's never done any GTO, studied any of that shit in his life. That's why I like Bryn Kenny. By the way, I think he's the best. What do you say to someone like that?
But almost been a big fan of him. Yeah. So there are a few players that can reach that really top level without a ton of study, but I would guess like Bryn is just like some super.
He's so good.
Genius.
His instincts are unbelievable. Stuff like that, and I'm not. Yeah. I'm not a genius. I'm smart. I have a good poker head, good poker mind.
No limit hold'em is like no limit.
Go ahead. Drew, what'd you say? We're kind of losing you.
Yeah.
Do you think that a no limit tournament hold'em is kind of unsolvable because of too many variables that the bot just can't freaking factor in? And right now it's just basically all these sims are just like, heads up. There's some that do like 3-way pots, but
kind of answer this too. Solvable or solver or GT that's going to tell you 9-handed in the tournament. That's. It's just, at least I don't think there is. Is there, Ari?
To me, I look at things on a spectrum. So I don't look at things as black or white, as solvable or unsolvable. It's probably true if you did look at it as either solvable or unsolvable. It's probably true that, the multi-way nature of a lot of these things, it makes it that it falls into the non-solvable aspect. But I believe that a lot of the ideas would be solvable within a tournament concept approaching no limit hold'em. So if one did spend a bunch of time studying solvers and studying a whole bunch of the common situations that occur, you'd become a tournament beast. And it's especially true in tournaments where so much of the money that's made in tournaments is in the short stack at the end of the tournament situations, which the shorter stacked you are, the easier it is for machines to figure out what to do.
Right.
So, hypothetically, like a 10 blind game, a machine is going to be really good at a 10 blind game. Where, actually, I don't even know if that's true. But
hey, anyways,
compared to like,
true, we're kind of losing you.
A few hundred blinds also, but the short answer is I think that I think it's.
Drew, we got a bad connection with you, Drew. I apologize. I don't know why it keeps saying YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain stream meeting. Oh, it tells me to open a widget. What the fuck's a widget?
Don't open the widget.
Don't open the widget. I won't open the widget. All right, man. We got a call? Any other calls we missed so far?
Yeah.
All right, let's call them back. That's what we do here on the Mouthpiece. We call them back.
Hell yeah.
We got rid of the widget.
That must be nice.
Yeah.
Hello.
What up? Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Ari. How's it going?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. How's it going with you?
Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good, man. What are you up to?
Enjoying the show, and I've
Yes,
always
we are.
enjoyed watching you on all the poker shows over the years, man. You've been always
It's fucking Ari's fault, man. He's fucking it all
Man,
up.
this is a good. I know, Mike. Do you have any good story? Do you have any good stories from getting disconnected? I know you play so
Okay,
many
yes.
tournaments online.
Okay,
it's not
so
as bad, but have
I'll give
gotten
you.
disconnected
I was going to my friend's wedding in 2007. I was playing 200, 400 PLO with the English guy that stiffed Ivy and the golf bet. What's his name? Ram Viswani. And we in full tilt, it always had disconnect protection. And I'm in the middle of the hand. I kept getting disconnected. Next thing I know, I'm missing $323,000 out of my account because full tilt had just changed the day before that there's no more disconnect protection. And of course, I didn't know it. Lost $323,000. You think Ram Viswani ever gave me anything back? Didn't give me a quarter back. Then when he got he hustles Ivy for like $350,000, and Ivy goes and learns how to play golf and hustles him back for $1.2 million he didn't want to pay. And it took him like 3 years to, I guess they made some settlement. But I mean, if you're a hustler, you deserve to get hustled. That's just how it works. Sometimes the hustler gets hustled, you know? I mean, that was pretty funny.
Man,
actually.
I mean, as a professional gambler, it is like so amazing to watch Ivy own out the casinos. I know they screwed him back, but that story just like so inspiring, really.
Yeah,
you love to see like they like take advantage of these casinos who they take advantage of all these people.
Hang on one second.
Doing,
we're calling the
yeah.
person back. No, you can keep talking. Hello. Yeah, keep talking. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was inspired. I constantly am inspired by Ivy when playing with him and also off the table.
Yeah, he. I mean, there's a saying that I like to say that when that whole thing went down, there were people had their opposite ends of the view on it. Now, me personally, I think he should have picked up 200, 300, 200, 300, 200, 300, and kept doing it forever. And I think that. There's an old saying, greed will get you. What he did, was it wrong? No, but just remember when you go in to play a certain game, you know what the odds are. They know what the odds are. When you're flipping the odds without them knowing, it's kind of fucking gray area.
Hello again.
Hello again. We lost you now. You said you had a question about the Daniel Negreanu. What was it you were going to say?
Well, I've been following Daniel for, more than a few years now, probably 10 plus. I don't even remember when my wife and I started following poker. Mm-hmm. She actually got me into poker. And we're Canadian, so we've always kind of been interested in Daniel because he is, whatever you want to say,
yeah.
Canadian. He used to be seen kind of a down-to-earth type of guy.
Yeah.
And along the way, I don't know what happened. But
you mean like with his anger issues lately?
To what year?
Is that what you're talking about? Like when he gets angry all the time now?
And he kind of comes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, that's pretty funny. I have to be honest. I enjoy the new Daniel in a way that I like to kind of get a laugh out of him just to watch.
Well,
him, but
I'll be honest.
He used to be a nice guy, seemingly kind of.
He's there. You go. And and Daniel, okay. He's never turned anybody down for an autograph. He's opinionated, but that doesn't mean he's really got a good heart. Like even when me and him were going at it in 2016, 2015, pretty much over politics, he was setting away and I was going against his way, and I was one of his closest friends. So, he took it to a little bit of a high level, but we're best friends now. I mean, I talk to Daniel on the phone at least 3 times a week. But you have to understand, when he was part of Poker Stars, like he had to have the squeaky clean image. He had to represent the company beautifully. GG Poker, they want him to just be himself. They want him to stick your teeth up somebody's ass when they fucking beat you in a pot. They like that. That's why they hired Dan Blitzerian. He's the same outgoing, don't give a fuck. They want that. They think that, and I think they're right. They think that when they have people that make them laugh, that aren't afraid to be PC, because the whole PC culture is just completely ridiculous. You know, like, you know, we live in a country of free speech. Now all of a sudden they don't like what you say. They take you off the internet. They deplatform you. And one thing, even though me and Daniel have different political views, he's all on board with this anti-PC shit. He thinks it's destructive for the country. He thinks it's destructive and so now you're just seeing the anti-PC, I don't give a fuck, Daniel, which that's how Daniel always has been. I mean, if you know him, he'll tell you how he fucking feels. He don't give a fuck. So that's what you're seeing now.
Well, we're in Canada, so we don't have free speech. So, you know.
Well, we don't either here. They got rid of free speech here.
But,
once they kicked the president of the United States off Twitter, you pretty much knew free speech was kind of fucked. But whatever, it is what it is. But yeah,
I get what you're saying about Daniel. But I would ask, or I would wonder, the real Daniel doesn't seem authentic. If his real authentic way is to be kind of, you know, not so PC or not so corporate or company kind of oriented.
Well, I mean, when you get
natural yet,
when you get paid $3 million a year for a company and you got to be PC, you're gonna fucking be PC. When you get paid $3 million for a company and they tell you don't be PC, tell everyone you want to shove your fucking teeth up their ass, and they like it. Well, then he's going to be fucking himself and just do whatever, okay? Daniel's an emotional person. I mean, you know, it's like you could say, well, Daniel had this squeaky clean image, whatever. You don't know Daniel. Like everybody in the poker world knows. We all know back when he attacked Annie Duke relentlessly before Poker Stars on social media, called her the C word, every name under the sun, and then when he finally stopped attacking her, he got signed by Poker Stars and everything went upwards in his life. But no, Daniel's a tell it like it is type of person. He just, you know, when he worked for Poker Stars, they wanted a certain way. And like he said the other day, he's like, we're talking, and he's like, he goes, fuck them. I don't give a shit. I'll say what I want. I don't work for Poker Stars no more. I work for GG, and they want me to be this way. So there you go. That's what you got. So, you know.
It makes me laugh anyway, but you know, I don't, you know, whatever. I'm not PC, or I don't give a shit about that stuff. You know,
fuck. I hate PC people.
Oh, me too. But the one thing I have to say before I go is with Daniel, he had his clips were so funny of him getting angry of some of his live streams.
They're unbelievable.
I clipped it out, and
they really are. They're classic. Like after his match, every match, like you don't even have to. Why watch the match? Just watch the post match. The post match. If he lost, first of all, you look at the very end and you see if he lost. If he lost, turn on the post match, because if you look from it, you're always going to get entertainment. You know. So
you're right.
But I know he's stuck a lot, and he knows that right now he's going to be willing to lose a quick million to try and give himself a chance to win, or at least he might lose like 400 or 500 the next 2-3 sessions, and then once he realizes he can't win, he'll try to get back as much as he can. But it's really the right strategy. I mean, that's why he was so upset with 8,000 hands to go that Doug decided to try and change strategies. And unfortunately, you know, me and Ari are going to talk about that here in a minute. But I kind of thought that I kind of agreed with Daniel. Now I want to see what Ari has to say afterwards. So I appreciate the call, man. Thanks a lot, and have a great weekend.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
You're welcome.
You too.
What's your opinion on Daniel deciding to slow pay him, play real slow, and put Doug on tilt? What's your opinion? I thought it was funny, but what do you think?
So to start off, when talking about Daniel, I like him, and my personal interactions with him have been really good.
Yeah.
I can't say I was the biggest fan of the outbursts this year online.
I wasn't either.
to their own. But I don't really see the issue with wanting to win. Like I don't. To me,
well, here's the thing. Listen. We got another call. We'll get back to that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Ari.
Hey, Mike and Ari.
What's up?
My opinion on Daniel slow playing was pretty funny because he just shoved it back in Doug's face.
That's how I felt.
Cried like a little.
He did cry like a bitch. Even after he won 135K, he was still ranting and crying like a bitch. So, you know what? I felt it was fine. He told me he was going to do what he was going to do before he did it, and I was laughing. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to watch. He said, well, don't watch too long. You're going to be bored to death after about 20 minutes. And so, but all I told him is like, I'm like, well, I'm not watching to watch. I'm watching to watch Doug live tweet, right? And see what he was going to say. And Doug's live tweets were like, he was on full blown tilt. And he had, if he stayed doing that, who knows what he might have beat him for. But see, that's what I'm trying to say. Daniel doesn't want to do that. But he was basically, here's the thing is Doug went public and said, I got to do what I got to do. Well, Daniel just decided, well, I got to do what I got to do. Now,
yeah, there is that context for sure, because like Doug, obviously, in the last few years has gone completely off at Daniel in a way which
ridiculous.
Disproportionate. You know, Daniel may have done one or two things which were somewhat questionable in the Supernova Elite thing, but the way Doug went off on him was completely disproportionate. There's way bad. There's actual stuff in the poker industry.
Well, I didn't want Daniel to play Doug. I go, why would you give this guy a microphone, build his brand up, and then drive people to his site? Why would you do that? And he's like, well, it's COVID. I have nothing else to do. You know, I want the challenge.
He deserves credit for that. A, and then B, imagine if let's say I'm, I think I'm pretty good at PLO8. If I get a player who's way worse than me at PLO8 that wants to play me a bunch of hands,
right?
They get to pick whatever they want. You know, they want me to use my left hand only and move my mouse with my left hand. I'll move my mouse only with my left hand. You know what I mean? Like they get to so. Daniel is coming into Doug's thing, and Doug is just making tons of EV in this. I mean, the opening on were like 4 to 5 to 1 in Doug's favor.
This idiot over here has 13,000 at a total of 8 to 1, and I'm dead. So,
oh, you got 8 to 1 though?
Well, I bet 4.5 to 1 for 10K. And then I got with Moneymaker 10 to 1 for 2,000. And then I got another 10 to 1 for another 1,000. So I think it comes out. I've got 13 to win like 91, whatever that comes to. Whatever.
Yeah. Is that for the whole thing or just?
Yeah, I'm drawn completely dead. I got 7 to 1 for another 1,000 when there was 10K hands left and he was down 480. And then he proceeded to lose 520 in the next 3 sessions. And that was the end of me. And I'm like, great, Daniel, I put the whammy on you. I put another I mean, everybody, people were like, no, the odds are like 5 to 1. I'm like, how could they be 5 to 1? They were 5 to 1 when they were even starting the match. But I figured it out. I thought 7 to 1 was the right price. And then came the 5. And then whatever, it's over. I'm done with it, But I mean, Daniel's done questionable things. You gotta, Garrett Adelson made a good point. He really trolled Doug hard. He's like, yeah, you want to talk all this shit. He goes, you made up shit about a guy. You fucking said all these horrible things about him for 1.5 years. And then you coax him into fucking playing you head up so you can fucking beat him out of $1 million. And you think you're a good guy. Like Garrett Adelson, he made a lot of good points, And, but listen, Daniel took on the challenge, and he's a big boy, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and a lot of it seems to be in the past to some extent, where in recent times there've been a little more animosity, but they did seem to be a little more friendly, and I think that's good. I
think it's good. People are like. I agree with you. I think it's good for poker. You don't want fucking war. People just like when there shouldn't. Even when me and Daniel were going at it, I'm like, dude, this is bad for poker, Daniel. Dude, we're good friends. I'm like, this is bad.
And like Doug may like troll a little more than I would love, but he's super entertaining and like his
funny.
Are great.
Listen, go ahead.
Daniel is like great with the fans and like. Even to like me, like I was never really in like, Daniel's like prime audience, like being like a full-time professional and all that. But anytime like I've had questions or different things, like, and a few times like we've interacted, like he's been very nice and gone out of, and same thing with like a lot. It's actually like somewhat shocking. Like so many of like the pros, the old school TV pros that maybe seem somewhat abrasive on TV or something like that. In person, I've been pleasantly shocked with the interactions that I've had with him, and so I don't really I'm a fan of both of them, kind of.
Yeah. Well, I've said this before. The only problem I have with Doug, and I was always very friendly with Doug. I had no problem with him. Was like October of 2019. Me and Phil were playing live at the Bike, and it was a 50-100 game. This is back when I was still trying. I was really struggling a lot. So Phil had half me in the game, and he accused me and Phil of cheating in a game because I threw my hand in, and Phil had his hand halfway in the muck, and I said I didn't say it out loud. I'm like, man, I threw 2 spades away, right? Or something like that. And I guess he thought that I was trying to signal to Phil so Phil would call. And it was just like, everybody who knows me know it's impossible, and it really, this is what he does. For clicks, he makes stories up, or he tries to sensationalize shit for clicks. And I thought he crossed the line, and he owed me an apology for making a bullshit video that was a lie. And I never got that apology. And that's when I started disliking Doug. But even if Doug would say to me tomorrow, I apologize to you for making that video about you and Phil, I know you'd never cheat, I'd be his best friend. I'd go out to dinner with him tomorrow. I just thought it was out of line. So anyways, that's my problem with Doug. Anyways, we appreciate the call.
A question, Mike, about intuition.
Go ahead. What's that?
Let's talk intuition. You're an intuitive player.
Right.
And me too. And I have a hard time when my feeling says call or go in this pot, and more times than not, it would have worked out, but I can't.
We have this old saying in poker, okay? Whatever your instincts tell you to do, follow them. If you follow your instincts, you'll always be doing well. Go get me the charger for my thing. My PC thing's getting low. I didn't bring the charger. Yeah, hold on one second.
So hard.
I didn't know it would go on that quick. So just follow your. I'm sure Ari will tell you the same thing, right? Follow your instincts, right?
Okay.
Thank you. It's rough. It's rough because a lot of times we have our instincts, or what feels like our instincts is really like our emotions talking.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard to separate the two a lot. So that's one of those things where the more you feel, the more studied you are, the more experience you have, the more confident you are with your abilities, the easier it is to kind of trust your instincts and have them be based on experience rather than like the emotional impact of the last few minutes or few days or whatever it is. But I do think it is I don't have any great answer for it, but I'll acknowledge that it's a problem. Trying to deal
I like
what
you say.
With trusting ourselves.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I like it. That makes sense between the emotion, because sometimes you'll play and get emotional because of the last hand, and you fight your feelings. So, Ari, what I take you're saying is I'll be able to separate my intuition from emotion.
Yes.
And
I agree.
Practice. Love it. Thank you guys very much.
All right, man. Thanks for the call. We appreciate it. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
We got another call or no? No? Okay, that's good. So, you said there's nothing wrong with limping. Of course there's nothing wrong with limping. As a matter of fact, me and Phil, we were we both bet on Daniel, and we couldn't believe that, because Daniel started, he learned all the GTO, he learned combos, he learned all that shit, but I still thought that Daniel would use his poker ability. Instead, he went straight GTO. And when you go straight GTO against a guy who's already knows straight GTO from the back of his mind, because he's been playing a zillion hours ahead up, where are you going to pick up something on him that's going to throw him off? You know what I'm saying? Like, even in the match, he limped one time with queens. He won that big pot, and all Doug did was bitch about him limping with queens. You remember that? I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember that. No, I haven't.
Hold on, we got another call here. This will be our last call, and we'll talk. Welcome to Mouthpieces, Mike.
Mikey.
What up?
Sorry, you gotta go, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. That was interesting. All right. Welcome. We always have a...
In case anyone thought this wasn't live and we're not just getting calls, you know.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Well, we used to take calls. We used to record it. And Danny over here would edit it, and then all people liked the live better. I mean, the quality of it was much better when we edited it, but you know, the live is good. You get people in the moment to call in, and
yep, it's fun.
But like I was saying, so now like me and Phil were like, why is Daniel not limping the button more? Why is Daniel letting him completely take control, raise, re-raise, and the guy's never folding? When you have a guy you're playing head up that, and you'll know this because you're an aggressive player, that's never folding, right? Now it's one thing to be an aggressive. See, if you're aggressive, and this is why I think Scott Seaver's so good, and all of a sudden the guy calls you or plays back at you, Seaver will just check back and be done with the hand. Where someone like Doug, when they don't like to fold, they go to the river or whatever. And I just, I'm not gonna. Once the match is over, I'm gonna analyze my opinion. I've said it before. I think Daniel should have been limping the button a lot more. I think he shouldn't have kept 3-betting way too much dog shit. I think he should have let him in spurts, think he's running over him, and then fight fire with fire, or he flips it. And now all of a sudden Doug thinks he has it a lot more. Instead, he fought fire with fire from the get-go, and I just thought it was the wrong strategy to fight fire with fire against a guy who's been doing this for years. Is that a fair statement?
I think it's a little bit of armchair quarterbacking. It was going to be a super uphill battle, and it was almost an impossible situation for Daniel to actually win in this, playing all these, like a huge sample of hands against the guys, a head specialist. But is it was gonna and I think actually if Daniel was put up a really good fight, the fact that he lost,
and we're gonna talk about
really
that. Yeah, we're talking about a second. Hold on. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Ari.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. I got a quick question. Do you think that these matches that are these challenges between players that are like 25,000 hands or some absurd number really is the amount needed to prove who's the better player? What is the number that you think the minimum would be that's like, all right, let's play this many hands, and then that proves who's better?
You have to understand that when you're playing 25,000 and two-tabling, I mean, it's really a 3-day-a-week, 2-month challenge. So you're basically playing 24 sessions, maybe 30 sessions. I don't think that's too long. If they were one-tabling, I would say 10,000 hands would be fine. What's your comment on that, Ari? What do you think?
Oh, so two things. One is, I think, which is related to the thing. I think Daniel made a strategic error playing 2 tables.
Yes.
I think he should have only played 1 table against Doug. I think 2 tables was to Doug's advantage and against Daniel's. And then number 2, kind of the same way I said, where I look at things on a spectrum rather than black or white. When it comes to proving, quote unquote, who the better, it doesn't 100% prove who it is. And I think it's virtually impossible to prove who the better player is.
Agreed.
Because by the time you get to a big enough sample, the first hands are no longer going to be relevant. Meaning Daniel is a completely different player in hand 20,000 than he is in hand 1.
Right.
And Doug also is a better player. This does do a pretty solid job of saying, if we had a guess, we would guess that Doug is the better player. But does it prove? No. And that would be my response.
And here's something I want to ask you. So we know, so even let's say going into the other day where he lost 135, he was down 560. Now he's down 700. Okay, and he's down 330 in all-in EVs. Now, this is what I try and say to everybody: if that 330 down in all-in EVs was favored to Daniel, and Doug was down 330 in all-in EVs, we're at a dead even match. And that's what, and I like to bring that up because for the people who want to say, oh, Doug's killing him. Oh, I know he was going to kill him. And I say, well, let's just switch that 328K all-in EV in Doug's figure and flip it to Daniel's figure, and we have an even match. Am I right when I say that, Ari?
Yeah. And that I think both would acknowledge that Doug's skill edge is not so big that there is no match here. There was definitely a match. It was competitive, and anyone watching that can kind of tell that the match has been competitive.
Yeah.
I think though, when push does come to shove, if they were to play forever, I think you would see it's only natural to expect that Doug would have. This is Doug's specialty, and Doug rose to the literal top of the food chain at Heads Up No Limit for years and years and years now. He hasn't been there for a couple of years, but to hold that position at the top of the food chain in Heads Up No Limit in the modern era, just is that just takes an unbelievable amount of skill. So I think it's Daniel deserves a ton of props for actually rising to the challenge, and especially because he is such a huge name, and he kind of, those of us in the know expected Doug to win, but I'm sure a lot of poker fans just looked at Daniel as he's the best. And, for him to lose this, it might, lower himself in some of the, poker fans' eyes. So, I thought it was really cool that he did take the challenge. And sure, he's super rich and, he's able to stomach losing it. But it's tough. You're super competitive. No one likes to lose. And it's going to be interesting to see. I think he said that he thinks he's going to be a much better player at No Limit tournaments going forward. And I could see that. I could really see him being a much better player for this experience.
Yeah. And the thing is and I'm not going to lie, I've been learning a little bit of this GTO solver thing. It's hard for me to get into, but I know it's important to learn. I'm not going to change my game, but it's going to make me understand what other people are doing. And once you understand what other people are doing, I think that's the most important thing. So, it may not revolutionize your game or completely change your game, but I would hope that you may take an idea or two to help improve along the edges, this concept or this thing or that thing. And it's one of those things where the more information you have, it cannot hurt. Mm-hmm. You can then choose to implement what you want to implement, but you now have more information and you're that much more knowledgeable about the game. Yeah.
And I think that's always a good thing.
And I talked to Phil, and he's like, oh, I think I'm going to play Doug one table, 10,000 hands. He's giving me 10-1. I'm like, Phil, don't do it. Because I mean, he could literally give him probably 20-1. I don't want to knock Phil or whatever. But I know Phil's a great player and a great head-up player. But it's one thing if Phil played him live in the tournament format, like he did Antonio and like he did Doug when he played him in the Poker Night in America. That's one thing, And one of Big Phil's weaknesses is his ego. And I don't want to see him be embarrassed. And I think if he plays him in an online format, his ego will really be brought. Or maybe he needs his ego brought down. I just don't want to see it.
It's one of those things where it's hard to picture what the long-term consequences are. But sometimes taking that beating can actually be helpful to you long-term. But sure, in the short run, it's no fun.
But I don't know if it'll be big. It might wake up Phil into maybe he should start studying more, which would be good. Yeah. But yeah. I kind of like Phil where he's at. Let him continually believe he's the best No Limit Hold'em player in the world. His answer,
good at No Limit Hold'em.
His answer is, well, nobody beats me, so who's better? That's a good point.
I've lost once.
But again, when you're talking, and I believe this, okay? If you want to talk 50 big blind, or even let's go 35 big blinds or less, a no limit hold'em tournament, I'll take Phil. You could take all these. You can take everyone else. This guy's instincts are off the charts, and he's unconventional. He kind of goes against the grain of what the solvers or what the people say to do when you're a certain amount of handed. And he makes these, like when he got second in the WPT at the bike, I mean, he had that tournament won. He got it all in. He had the guy covered, ace, king. The guy had king, queen. And the guy makes a straight, and Phil holds up there. He wins his WPT title. And, he had 6 big blinds left. He limped with king 10 of hearts, with all the kids are like, you can never do that, 6 big blinds, small blind, big blind. And the guy moved in, and Phil studied him. And he looked him right in the eye. And you could go look this up, the final table where he got second. He goes, I think you got ace 10. He goes, I fold. And he shows king 10 face up. And the guy shows him ace 10, right? And now he comes all the way back against all the people that had all the chips that were playing really fast. And Phil had the chip lead and was just 1 card away from winning that tournament. And so when people see, well, Phil does this unconventional, they don't see the things he does well. And that's
I completely agree with that. And if you're going to try and get me to say Phil is not an amazing tournament player, I'm never going to say he's phenomenal.
He's amazing, yeah.
But I got a big but on that, which is the top players, whoever it is that you want to say, the Jason Koons, the Haxtons, the Dominic Neach, whoever it is.
Darren Elias.
Like these players are so sharp in their strategies that a guy that just plays by feel and intuition, I can't buy that he's going to be better than them. Now, when you're talking about it playing against some sort of weaker players, maybe Phil has like these amazing live tells. I'm sure he does have amazing live tells. Even me, a shitty minor league player, I have some live tells that I used in my advantage. So I can only imagine that someone as great as Phil Hellmuth has a bunch of them. But I don't know. I mean, I think there's just going to be like 35 blinds or whatever it is that you want. Some of these guys are just so sharp.
And you made a good point on that. So when David Baker won the LAPC, I finished 24th, I think, and I played for like 5 days. And the 2 people I thought were better than me was Darren Elias and the guy who finished 7th in that tournament. He's Ryan Campbell's his last name. Is it Ryan Campbell? Does that sound right?
Campbell.
Do you know who I'm talking about? His last name's Campbell. No. He's really good. And then he went on and win a WPT like 3 weeks later. I think it's Ryan Campbell, but it's definitely Campbell was his last.
Rainer Kempe?
No, Campbell is his last name. Campbell. He's really good. He finished 7th in the 2018 LAPC. So.
Okay. Well,
we'll have to look
about to have it up.
Yes, but
James Carroll.
James Carroll. That's who it is. Why did I say Campbell? He was so good, right? And I'm looking. So I play with all these superstars, and those 2 stuck out to me. I'm like, well, they're definitely better than I am, right? But all the other people I played with, I was able to use my instincts and my maneuverability to put myself in a position to have a chance to win there. So. What could I do a lot more if I learned the GTO? And yeah, of course I can. But that's the difference between me and Phil is I want to get better, especially now that I've been playing a lot of no limit. So now I never played any no limit since 2011. So you're talking about like 9 years, and now all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, this is fun. I want to get better again. I feel like I can be the best again.
And it's like it's a lot more fulfilling to hold your own or even beat these amazing players.
It really is, especially when you don't play it. Yeah, when they play at every tournament and travel the whole country, not to mention what they're playing online, and you play like 2 no limit tournaments a year, and here you are in the same position they are with a shot to win it. It's very, very exciting. It's like. These motherfuckers just aren't better. Can I get better? Sure. But they don't read better than I do. I can read better than I just it's kind of like Daniel. That's where I thought he would have an edge once he learned all the GTO, because his instincts are really good. Now, I'll watch the match, or even if I don't watch the match and I'm watching a little 15-minute post-game clip he puts out, and before I'm looking at Daniel's cards, and it goes bet call, and then like Doug ships the river, and I say to myself, fold, Daniel, you're beat. Like 9 out of 10 when I say fold and he calls, he's beat. Now the other times where Daniel puts the raise in, I'm telling, and I'm thinking to myself, now I am looking at Daniel's cards, right? But I'm thinking to myself, this look, and when he's bluffing or whatever, I'm like, I think Doug's going to sniff this out. And he does. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is my instincts, just by watching on the outside, you know, when Daniel used to make fun of me, like, oh, I could just look at somebody and know when I'm beat. Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Listen, God didn't fucking give me, I'm not the sharpest guy in the world. I might not be the best looking guy in this world, but God gave me these instincts that are off the charts when it comes to poker. And I don't know how to explain it to you. And I just have them. And so does Phil.
Yeah.
So, you know, but hey, man.
And those sharp with experience.
Yeah. Hey, we're 2 hours in. It's a great podcast. I appreciate you coming on the show. You're a great guy, and I want to say thank you for sticking up for me during the summer when people said something about me when I did that thing against that girl, because I didn't know even what doxing was, and I was just pissed because I hadn't played online, and I thought that person was slow rolling me, and I apologized to her, and we're all good and everything. But I appreciate you sticking up for me, because you know what kind of person I am, so I appreciate that very much. So
no worries, and also I think it's nice of you, or you know, it was very appropriate of you to apologize, and you handled it. You know, like everyone makes mistakes or whatever, or gets heated in the moment, and a lot of people like double down on something like that. And
I was rocked, man. I was like, I didn't want to hurt somebody's feelings. I was just pissed at the time at myself for not knowing it was a rebuy, number one, and number two, you know, I didn't know it had nothing to do with being a girl. I would have just done that against anybody. You know, I was just pissed. You know, no, that's it's awesome. You know, being invited onto this show. I've been watching you since I got into poker, which was in 2003, I think. So it's kind of this amazing full circle to now be on a show that you're hosting. Well,
and it was really awesome watching you.
Listen, we'll do some fun battles if we're bored. If you play some 08
Street.
I'll come play some 08 with you. With some 30-60 or PL08, whatever.
Night.
Listen, people asked me the other day. They're like, would you play this person head up 08? I said, I'll play anybody in the world head up limit 08 or PL08. And even though I haven't played in a while, I'll probably struggle the first maybe hour or two, and then once I get back in form, you know, I'll gamble, man. I know what I'm doing. The thing you probably already know this, and people ask me what the key is to playing. I really shouldn't even say it, but shorthanded 08 or PL 08 is you gotta know how to play the turn. Period. That's what it's all about. It ain't about anything else. Whoever plays the turn correctly will always win and head up 08, period. 3-handed 08, whatever. Is that a fair statement? Fair statement? You probably already know that. If you didn't know it, you know it now.
I haven't thought about it. Yeah, now I do.
Yes. It's all about playing the turn because...
I'll take it again one day.
Yeah, because it's about being a little bit tricky. And, you know, like everybody, like they flop nut flush draw, nut fucking low draw. They're like raise, re-raise on the flop, right? Well, what happens when you check call the flop and now you check raise the turn when the heart hits? And they're like, they don't believe you. They call you. Now they see you're doing that, right? So what do you do? Now what do? You start fucking doing it when you fucking have a low draw and a fucking pair when that heart comes on the turn. So, okay, that's it. I shouldn't tell you too much more. You're too good a player. But that's that's the key to shorthanded 08 is playing the turn. And if you're not good at playing the turn, you got no shot. in the highest of
For
levels.
those out there that haven't gotten into 08 yet,
Yeah.
it is such a fun game. Come join us. There's $200 tournaments on WSOP on all the sites. There are 08. There's WSOP tournaments. We need some fresh blood in there. Some of our competition is dying out.
Yeah.
So get to it. It's a great game.
Text me when that tournament is, and I'll play it with you, and we'll have a lot of fun. So, because I'm always busy, I always forget. So
awesome, I will do.
All right, my man. Thanks for coming on the show, Ari Engel. Everybody, I wish you the best. Keep grinding. Love you, buddy. Take care.
All the best. Thanks so much. See
You're
you
welcome. Later. All right. We got a lot in for that 2 hours. What's that? Yes. Just remember, everyone, we have a $100 tournament at my private home game, $100 rake-free tournament. Mouthpoker at yahoo.com, mouthpoker at yahoo.com, and you can play a $100 tournament Sunday night, 7 p.m. Sunday night, 7 p.m. Every Sunday at 7 p.m., we are going to run a $100 rake-free tournament. Takes about 3 hours. It's a lot of fun. Mouthpoker.yahoo.com. We're out of here, guys. Another show in the book, episode 61, Mouthpiece Podcast. Stay tuned next week for our Super Bowl preview. You'll know who I'm taking. That means you can all fucking go opposite of me. But then again, if I tell you go opposite of me, you know I'll end up being right. So have a great week, everybody, and thanks for tuning into the Mouthpiece.
The Mouthpiece.